ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I really want to welcome everyone for the 15th session of our daily discussion on the pastime of Gajendra. Till now, we have finished 3 verses of the 3rd chapter of the 8th canto. And now, today, we will take text 4 and 5 of the Gajendra Stuti. So, today's class will be based on these 2 verses. So, let us quickly read these 2 verses and then we will have a detailed discussion. Canto 8, Chapter 3, entitled Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender, text 4 and 5. Yasvatmanidam nijamayayarpitam क्वचेत् विभातं क्वचततिरोहितं अविद्धदृक्साक्षुभयं तदीक्षते स आत्ममूलोऽवतु मां परात्परः कालेन पञ्चत्वमितेषु कृष्णशो लोकेषु पालेषु च सर्वहेतुषु तमस्तदासीद् गहनं गभीरम् यस्तस्य पारेऽभिविराजते विभुः. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I'll read both of them together. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by expanding His own energy, keeps this cosmic manifestation visible and again sometimes renders it invisible. He is both the Supreme Cause and the Supreme Result, the observer and the witness, in all circumstances. Thus he is transcendental to everything. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead give me protection. In due course of time, when all the causative and effective manifestations of the universe, including the planets and their directors and maintainers, are annihilated, there is a situation of dense darkness. Above this darkness, however, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I take shelter of His lotus feet. Now the combined purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has multipotencies, parasya shakti vividhaiva shruyate. Therefore, as soon as he likes, he uses one of his potencies, and by that expansion, he creates this cosmic manifestation. Again, when the cosmic manifestation is annihilated, it rests in him. Nonetheless, he is infallibly the supreme observer. Under any circumstance, the Supreme Lord is changeless. He is simply a witness and is aloof from all creation and annihilation. Now the purport to the 5th verse. From the Vedic mantras we understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is above everything. He is supreme above all the demigods, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is the supreme controller. When everything disappears by the influence of his energy, the cosmic situation is one of dense darkness. The Supreme Lord, however, is the sunshine, as confirmed in the Vedic mantras, Aditya Varanam Tamasa Parastat. In our daily experience, when we on earth are in the darkness of night, the sun is always luminous somewhere in the sky. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Sun, always remains luminous, even when the entire cosmic manifestation is annihilated in due course of time. So it's a very beautiful section. These two verses talk about three topics, which we will briefly discuss in today's discussion. First and foremost, both these verses, the translations and the purports, talk about how this material nature is an expansion of Krishna's potency, Krishna's energy. So that will be discussion number one. Second point that has the common standout between these two verses is how the Supreme Lord is beyond this material nature, and He's the cause of everything, and before creation He existed, and after destruction He still remains. That's the second point. And the third point is how Gajendra, as the devotee, is begging for protection in the first verse and is begging for the shelter of the lotus feet in the second verse. So in this way, these are the 3 points that are worth focusing on. So let us begin understanding the different words in the two verses. Please kindly open up the Sanskrit either through your Veda base or through your physical copy. So text 4. So Yaha means that Supreme Lord who has been described till now. There's continuation in His glorification. Swa Atmani idam nija mayaya arpitam. So arpita means arpan karna, to offer. So the Supreme Lord offers this creation. How? Swa Atmani nija mayaya. By His own energy, the Supreme Lord expands and creates this world. This is the point. Which world? Kvachit. Sometimes vibhatam. So the word vibhatam means to shine or manifest or appear. So sometimes this material creation appears or very specifically shines in creation. And kwa cha tat, and sometimes that tirohitam disappears. We know the disappearance of great souls, we say tirobhav. For the appearance of great souls, we say avirbhav tithi. And for the disappearance of great souls, we say tirobhav tithi. So that same word tirohitam has been used. So first point is swa mayaya, nija mayaya. By His own energy, the Supreme Lord manifests this world, which appears and disappears, which manifests and unmanifests. Then avidya dhrik. Now the word dhrik we know, drishti. Dhrik means eyes, to see. Sakshi. The Supreme Lord is the Sakshi. Through His eyes He is seeing. What? Ubhayam. Ubhayam means both. He sees the creation process and the destruction process. Tad ikshate. He is seeing. And He stays constant throughout this process. And Sa Atma Mula. The question could be, okay, so then if He exists, so He also has made an appearance, which means there could be a cause for His appearance and there could be a probable day when He will disappear. To which Gajendra says, no, Sa Atma Mula. Atma means Himself and Mula means root. So He is Himself the seed, the root, the fruit, everything. He doesn't need an external cause for His existence. Avatumam means please protect me. Parat paraha, my Lord. Parat, para means transcendence. Parat, from transcendence. Paraha, you are transcendental to transcendence. Like that. Or above everything. So this is the word to word for the first verse. And there are a few points to be noted in this. When we say that everything appears from the Supreme Lord and by His energy gets annihilated, that means we are talking about destruction of all the different bodies, different species, different bodies. Maintenance of the soul going from one body to another, that is taken care by the Supreme Lord. So the appearance of the body could be called as vibhatam, and the death of the body, the departure of the body, could be called as tirohitam. Or this could refer to the Chatur Yuga. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. So there is appearance of a Chatur Yuga and disappearance of a Chatur Yuga. So when there is appearance of somebody's body and disappearance of one body, like for example, we see sometimes these small insects. Again, this is an example given by Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada would say sometimes these small insects which are moving close to a very powerful light source, they appear, they move around this light and they die. All of this in one night. So they don't even know that the sun exists. For them, their life was just a couple of hours in duration. They appeared, they grew, they saw this source of light at night, some tube light or let's say a small bulb or whatever, and then they move around that for some time and they die. And hundreds of such small insects, you see, they appear and disappear in one night. But however we see, there are other bigger animals, like let's say a dog, which live longer than that. So a dog sees so many such nights, and each of these nights sees so many such insects appear and disappear. However, in comparison to the duration of a dog, we can see the duration of a human being is way higher. So a human being sees so many dogs get birth and death, appear and disappear. And these dogs see so many different small insects appear and disappear. Now, in comparison to a human being, a tortoise lives close to 200-300 years. So a tortoise can see 3 generations of human beings, and the human beings can see 3 generations of or more of dogs, and the dogs can see so many generations of small insects which don't survive more than a few hours at night. Now, in comparison to the tortoise, think about the demigods. One demigod, he sees so many such tortoises leave. And in comparison to the demigods, one Brahma sees so many demigods go. And in comparison to Brahma, you can go back and trace it to Sri Krishna or Sri Vishnu, who sees the appearance and disappearance of so many bodies. And he is there as the witness through all of these activities. Before the creation of these bodies, he is there. During the life, during those bodies, he is there. And even when the body is destroyed at death, he is there. What to speak of the bodies of different living beings? Vishnu is there throughout. Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, one Chatur Yuga. Or 1,000 such cycles is one day of Brahma. And 100 such years is lifetime of one Brahma. And we see so many Brahmas come and go in Vishnu's glance of eternity. So Gajendra is glorifying the Supreme Lord. My Lord, time does not act on you. Time acts on us. Like for example, there was a time when Gajendra was not in the water being attacked by the crocodile. And then there is a time where he's being attacked. So time is acting on him. But my Lord, you are beyond the appearance and disappearance. You don't have any profit or loss by somebody's birth or death. So therefore, my Lord, I want to call out to you who can help me selflessly. The demigods want to help me because then they will become immortal. Through their bodies, they are not able to become immortal. Although they are called Amara, which means those who have almost eternal life, very, very long duration of life. But the demigods want to help Gajendra so that they can be glorified for longer time than their lifespan in their body. But my Lord, that is selfishness from their side, that they want to help me for their own benefit. My Lord, I want to call out to you who is beyond appearance and disappearance, who has no profit or no loss by helping me. Therefore, my Lord, I want to call out to you. Second mood is, my Lord, when everything gets destroyed, the jivas go into the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And when the Brahmanda is destroyed, they go into the body of Mahavishnu. So, my Lord, I never go into the body of any demigod. I always go into the body of Vishnu. So why not I call out to my Lord, from whom I come and into whom I go during the transition period of the different kalpas. My Lord, you see everything. You see everybody's desires. You see everybody's actions. Not just externally their actions. Internally you have a scanned copy of their subtle intentions and thoughts. Somebody can externally try to be your devotee, but internally also you know. My Lord, you are outside us in the form of atoms and you are seeing. But inside also us also, you are there as Paramatma. Therefore, my Lord, I'm not just externally calling out to you. Internally as Paramatma, you can see and you can verify if the hard copy and the soft copy, the hard copy of my actions and the soft copy of my intentions, the inner x-ray of my subtle intentions. You can verify and see, my Lord, that I'm sincerely calling out to you. So it's interesting that as a conditioned soul, we don't know our desires. You ask any conditioned soul that tell me what kind of a person you are. Are you like Duryodhan or are you like Yudhishthir? And 99% of the people who are conditioned souls, they say that, oh, I am like Yudhishthir. But when we perform Hari Bhakti, when we perform Krishna Bhajan, after a few years, when we introspect, we are able to see the dirt coming out. We are able to see how our mind tempts us with greedy proposals and lusty temptations. We see how we are looking for profit, how we are looking for more adoration and respect in this world. So interesting. After years and years of bhajan, we are able to spot some of our inner desires, but Vishnu is able to see all of our desires at all times, how pure he will be. We need to do bhajan to purify ourselves to see the inner impurity. But Vishnu is so pure that he sees all the desires, all the intentions of all jivas everywhere at all times. How wonderful. So Gajendra is calling out to that Lord. Kvachit vibhatam, kvachatat tirohitam, avidya dhrik sakshi ubhayam. My Lord, your eyes are such that you can see everything. You don't miss anything. This whole creation is actually the most wonderful manifestation of your glance. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I would like to encourage all the devotees. You can see in the 3rd canto, in the 28th chapter, you can see text 30, 31 and 32. How beautifully Shukdev Goswami has spoken about the glories of Krishna's eyes. In fact, it is very, very pleasing to hear this description. You can see in text number 30. Let me also open up this text. Canto 3, chapter 28, text 30. You can see how beautifully the Supreme Lord has been described. Yat Sriniketanamali Virparisevyamanam Bhutya Swaya Kutila Kuntala Vrinda Joshtam Meenadvayashrayamadhe Kshipada Abjanetram Dhyayet Manomayamatandrita Ullasadbhru. Translation. The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus-like eyes and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by its elegance. So here Krishna's eyes are compared to the lotus. See, it's so beautiful. When you see a water pond, you see a lotus in the water pond, and at the same time, you see drops of dewdrops, moist dewdrops on the petal of the lotus. At the same time, you see some pollen on the lotus, in the wall of the lotus, and sometimes there are jumping fishes in that water around that lotus flower. So similarly, Krishna's beautiful, wonderful, beautiful, wonderful face is like a lake in itself. It's a pond of beauty. In that, Krishna's eyes are blossoming lotus, and the moistness of his eyes are like the dewdrops. Very beautiful. And the black part of his eyes are the bumblebees which are attracted to the nectar of this lotus. So beautiful. And at the same time, Krishna's eyebrows are like jumping fishes into the water pond. And with those eyes, Krishna is very lovingly seeing this creation. Also in the next text, we can see text number 3:28-31. Tasyavalokamadikam kripayati ghora tapatrayopashamanaya nisrishtam snigdasmithanugunitam vipula prasadam dhyaye chiram vipula bhavanaya guhayam. The yogi should contemplate with full devotion and compassionate glances frequently cast. The yogis should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glances frequently cast by the Lord's eyes, for they soothe the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees, his glances accompanied by smiling, loving smiles are full of abundant grace. So Krishna's smiling face and Krishna's dancing eyes have been described. And now next text 32 of the same chapter. हासं हरेरवनताखिललोकतीव्र शोकाश्रुसागरविशोषणमत्युदारम् सम्मोहनाय रचितं निजमाययास्य भ्रूमण्डलं मुनिकृते मकरध्वजस्य. A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Sri Hari, a smile which for all those who bow to him dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency in order to charm the sex god or Kamadev for the good of sages. So every aspect of Krishna's form has a falashruti, has a very beautiful gift just by hearing. What to speak of meditating on it? So just like Krishna's eyes are compared to lotus flowers, and Krishna's face is compared to a very beautiful fresh pond of water, and Krishna's eyebrows are compared to dancing, jumping fishes into the pond of this water. Similarly, it is described that Krishna's benevolent smile of mercy is so benedicting that if someone just while taking darshan of the deities focuses his attention on the smile of Krishna, then that will dry up the ocean of tears caused in our life. At the same time, by focusing on Krishna's eyebrows, it is described that our lusty tendency will reduce. So Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what if one feels very lusty in life? What should they do? And Prabhupada said they should meditate on the dancing eyebrows above Krishna's beautiful lotus eyes. That will reduce one's lusty inclination. So this is the point. Gajendra is saying, my Lord, coming back to the fourth text of chapter 3, text 8, Gajendra is saying, my Lord, with these beautiful eyes, you are constantly glancing. You are maintaining, creating, destroying, protecting, nourishing everything with your glance. And then he's saying, my Lord, you're not just creating jivas, you're making bodies for those jivas. Think about all the different bodies that we see in this world. In fact, you know the Discovery Channel. It's called as the Discovery. So there in the Discovery Channel, like National Geographic, you have the Discovery. So there they show different kinds of animals and underwater fishes, etc., etc. And the reason they call it the Discovery Channel is because they cannot invent it, but they just have to discover the glory, the amazing, astonishing variegatedness in Krishna's creation. You see, there are some fishes which go completely, there are some which go transparent, translucent, some which are opaque can become completely transparent when a prey is attacking. When some attacker is attacking on this fish, some fishes can just go completely transparent in a way that the attacker cannot see this fish. Or on the other hand, there are fishes which can throw very slimy substances, even to blind the eye of the attacker. So who is creating all this? There is variegatedness in the shape, in the color, in the size, in the qualities, in the way, in the color of their fins, in the way they respond when attacked, in the different levels of depth in the ocean that they swim in. You see some fishes, they swim on the surface, while the big monsters, sea monsters, they prefer to be underwater, very deep. So who gives them all this intelligence? So here Gajendra is saying, my Lord, you are the creator of everything. You're not just making jivas, you're making bodies for them to cover those jivas. And then you're making clothes to cover those bodies. You're providing bodies, you're providing clothes to wear, you're providing food to eat to nourish those bodies. You are giving homes to stay, where there are jivas which live in the air, jivas which go underwater, there are jivas who live on land. There are some which live in fire. Then there are demigods, then there are demons. And you sit in the heart of everyone and you speak and guide to them. And you also give them different kinds of skill sets, which are very, very different. And you also arrange some things for their enjoyment in this painful material world. It is considered to be a jail But even in the jail, you give some enjoyment in the form of television, just like you see a prisoner who gets into a prison house. He may have carpet, he may have television, he may have good food. It's considered to be like a prison house where there must be suffering, so that he prefers and prepares to get out. But you see those VIP jails where they have very comfortable stay, and the person feels, why should I get out? My stay here is better than outside. So jivas may think like that, because Krishna is so loving as a father. Even when he punishes the jivas to be in this material world, he gives them so much happiness that the person has to be given Bhagavad Gita to convince that you are in a very precarious place. So my Lord, you are so loving and so kind. It takes just one virus for all of us to lock down, the whole planet lock down. But Krishna, you are so great in comparison to our lives. You are beyond the creation, the appearance and disappearance, the creation and annihilation of so many planets. So that, Lord, I belong to you, and I beg for your protection, not just from this crocodile, but protect me from forgetfulness of your glorious existence. So that is text 4. That is the essence of text 4. Now let's do an overview of text 5. Gajendra is saying, Kalena panchatvam iteshu krishnasho lokeshu paleshu cha sarva hetushu. So Kalena, with time, panchatvam. Panchatvam means the pancha mahabhuta. Bhumi, apaha, anala, vayu, kham. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So with time, my Lord, all these 5 things, they get lost. You see people, bodies are made out of earth, water, fire, air, ether. But after death, when the body is destroyed, the water element mixes with the water, the fire element goes back to earth. So therefore they say, from dust we come and to dust we go, as far as the bodies are concerned. So Kalena Panchatvam, my Lord, as far as death is concerned, all of our 5 elements, they mix back to earth. Even not just for animals like me, says Gajendra, Lokeshu, even big planets, they get destroyed. And Paleshu, even the protectors of those planets, the big controllers, they are also destroyed. And even the Pancha Mahabhuta from their body, that also gets mixed. Everything gets finished, my Lord. Everything gets finished with time. And that Kala, that time, is your energy. Mrityuhu sarva haraschaham. Krishna says, I kalosmi, I am death. I appear as time factor. And slowly but surely, I act on everyone. So that is an energy of the Lord. So my Lord, so Gajendra is now having some philosophical blackmail. My Lord, if you don't protect me, this body will be destroyed. And you have seen the destruction of many bodies, so it may not matter to you. And my Lord, this moment when this body is going to be destroyed is time, and that is your energy. So my Lord, at this point of time, this time when the body is being chewed into, if I don't take shelter of the Lord of time, who else will give me protection? So you see, Gajendra is giving formidable reasons why the Supreme Lord should give him shelter. He says, you were there before this incident. You will be there even after I die. Therefore, my Lord, I want to call out to you. I belong to you. This body belongs to you. The 5 elements of these bodies will mix into the 5 elements of earth, which belongs to you. And the time when the crocodile is catching hold on to me, that time factor is also you. So with time, Kalena panchatvam iteshu krishnasho lokeshu paleshu cha sarva hetushu. My Lord, with time, everything gets finished. And finally what happens? Tamas tadasit gahanam gabhiram. After everything gets destroyed, tamas tada asit. There is only tamas. So it is a fact, when the whole destruction takes place, when total destruction takes place, then everything becomes dark. Water fills up everywhere, and the sun and the moon, they end up losing their luster. But even at that time, beyond that, tamas tadasit gahanam gabhiram. Gahana and Gabhira, 2 words have been used. Gahana means very thick and dense. And Gabhira means something which is very deep. So even that darkness of tamas, which is very dense and very thick and very deep, my Lord, beyond that pralay, tamasic pralay, you have your beautiful shining face smiling. That pralay doesn't affect you. If pralay doesn't affect you, my Lord, temporary problems like a crocodile catching my feet will definitely not trouble you. You are sitting in my body as Paramatma, but you are not coming out to help me. So it is fine. It may not trouble you, but it is my duty to call out to you. Why? Because, my Lord, every jiva depends on the Paramatma. Only when the Paramatma gives sanction can the jiva act. The jiva may have desire to lift his hand. The hand is there in front. The jiva is ready to lift. But if the Paramatma has switched off the faculty of the hand, he is paralyzed. He cannot do anything. So, my Lord, it is not your gain that you are protecting me, but it will be my gain if you protect me. So therefore, my Lord, please protect me. You are very, very bright. In fact, Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes Aditya Varanam Tamasa Parastat. In fact, that is a very, very beautiful mantra. We find the Aditya Varanam verse. In fact, Vedaham eta purusham mahantam Aditya Varanam Tamasa Parastat Tameva Vidvati Mrityumeti Nanyah Pantha Vidyate Ayanaye. The Vedic mantras, the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the third part, 8th verse describes that the Purusha, the Supreme Purusha, Mahapurusha, Sri Vishnu or Sri Krishna, is as bright as the sun. Aditya Varanam. Varana means effulgence and Aditya means sun. My Lord, you are as effulgent as the sun. And Tamasaha Parastat. You are beyond Tamas. Therefore, my Lord, only by knowing you, tam eva viditva ati mrityumeti, only by knowing you can someone cross mrityu. Therefore, at the time of mrityu, I am remembering you, says Gajendra. And there is no na anya pantaha vidyate. There is no other way apart from calling out to Krishna. In the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it is described. And it's very famous because this is part of the Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta, as we know, is an important part of the Rig Veda. And it also appears in other places like the Taittiriya Aranyaka. It also is found in the Samaveda Samhita, the Atharva Veda Samhita, the Vajasanai Samhita, and so many other places also. So this is a very famous verse. Even during deity installation or Shaligram Seva, we chant this. Aditya Varanam Tamasa Parastat. My Lord, you are as effulgent as the sun and you are beyond all darkness. So Gajendra here is calling out that, my Lord, I am amidst darkness now. And it is my duty to call out to you because you are the only one who's beyond that darkness. So please kindly help me. Krishna is like the sun. In the Bhagavatam, Muchukunda Maharaj, when he looks at Krishna in the cave, Muchukunda Maharaj had the ability to burn anything to ashes by just glancing at it. His glance was so powerful that he could burn anything to ashes. He burnt Kala Yavana by his glance. But when he looked at Krishna, he asked Krishna, who are you? Are you Surya Dev? Are you Chandra Dev? How is it that you are so effulgent? My eyes, which can burn anything to ashes, has the effulgence of sun. But when I look at you, my Lord, my eyes seem to be very dull and dirty. Please tell me who you are. And Krishna very humbly introduces himself as the son of Vasudev. I am Vasudev, the son of Vasudev. So Muchukunda says, my eyes have literally lost the power to see anything and have become dull by looking at you. That's how powerful you are. So here, Kalena Panchatva Miteshu Krishnasho Lokeshu Paleshu cha sarva hetushu tamas tadasid gahanam gaviram yastasya pare abhivirajate vibuhu. My Lord, therefore I take shelter of you. There is no one like you. You are unparalleled. Please kindly, therefore, give me shelter. So the Supreme Lord here, in these two verses, has been very brilliantly described. His energy has been described, creation energy. His unparalleled potency has been described as being the cause of everything. And at the same time, Gajendra's mood has been described. So in the next 30 minutes or so, we will try to touch on these topics. It's interesting, Gajendra is glorifying the Supreme Lord with so many beautiful verses. And in fact, Bhagavatam has this very beautiful knack of fitting in philosophy in the form of prayers or conversations between the storyline. So if it is just philosophy, then people may get a little disinterested. But if it is a storyline and in the middle there is philosophy, then that keeps people going in the reading of the text. Like, for example, if you see Bhagavad Gita is the most philosophical book. You have to prove a point by quoting the Bhagavad Gita. So probably Shukdev Goswami got to know that although Krishna has spoken the Bhagavad Gita, people say that I know the Bhagavad Gita, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, but seldom do people really understand the purport of the Bhagavad Gita. So we know that the devotees are more merciful than Krishna. So Krishna gave the whole text as philosophy, but Shukdev Goswami and Suta Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, as the expert devotees, more merciful than the Lord, they devised a plan of having 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam with series of stories. And amidst the stories, they have conversational philosophy or prayerful philosophy. So here Gajendra is offering this philosophical purport so that we understand the position of Krishna amidst the prayers of Gajendra. Sometimes we feel that, oh, we don't get so much interested. We don't find so much juice in hearing the philosophical presence of Krishna's potency. And we want to know more about, Krishna's Leelas, etc. And we just want to float a bit. But it is interesting that in the Chaitanya Charitamrit, Kaviraj Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Siddhanta baliya chitte nakar alas, iha hoite Krishna lage sudrida manas. That Siddhanta baliya chitte nakara alas. One should not be lazy in studying and hearing about the philosophical conclusions of Krishna's identity. Why? Iha hoite Krishna lage sudrida manas. By hearing the philosophical position of Krishna's identity, one will be very strongly fixed in devotion. Our mind will be strongly convinced about devotion. Prabhupada used to be very particular about this fact that every member of the ISKCON movement should be philosophically grounded. Otherwise, it is very easy to just flow with the sentiments that, oh, I am a devotee, I believe in Krishna, etc. But when there is an atheistic challenge, or let's say there is a challenge from other schools of thought in the theistic consideration, then our feet tremble and go cold because we have not studied Shastra properly. Therefore, even the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, how do you understand who is a Madhyam Adhikari and who is an Uttam Adhikari? Kaviraj Goswami says that Shastra Yukti Su Nipun Drida Shraddhayar Sei Uttam Adhikari Taraye Sansar. That he who has studied Shastra very well and can reconcile contradictions with logical and reasoning points of understanding, he is an Uttam Adhikari. Shastra Yukti Su Nipun. Su Nipun means an expert. So he knows Shastra and Yukti, logic, very, very strongly. And Drida Shraddhayar, and he who has unflinching faith. Say Uttam Adhikari Taraye Sansar. He is an Uttam Adhikari, the best among devotees, and he can save the whole world. However, the Madhyam Adhikari has been described as Shastra Yukti Nahi Jani, Drida Shraddhavan, Say Madhyam Adhikari Mahabhagyavan. In his excellent poetry, Kaviraj Goswami Pad in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Shastra Yukti Nahi Jani. Somebody who knows Shastra, but he cannot somehow reconcile properly. Nahi Jani, but Drida Shraddhavan. He is very strongly fixed in his path. Say Madhyam Adhikari Mahabhagyavan. He is Madhyam Adhikari and he is Mahabhagyavan. He is very blessed. So we find examples like that. Someone who is drowning in the ocean, an expert swimmer can jump in, save himself from drowning and save others also from drowning. But someone who's not so expert, if someone pulls him in, he may be able to swim, but he may not be able to save someone and swim with that person. And on the other hand, the third category is if he's pulled in, he may drown. What to speak of saving? So that is the Kanishtha. He doesn't have faith. He can listen to another school of thought and can very easily get convinced because he doesn't have very strong philosophical backing. So this is very, very important actually. This is why Chaitanya Charitamrita not just flows with the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the beginning verses are very, very philosophical. Before we get into the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, there are strong verses on philosophical conclusions. So generally we see that the discussions are more about the pastimes of Krishna, which are very wonderful, which are very glorious, which are very purifying, very attractive, very charming, very heart-wrenching and soul-stirring also. They can churn emotions also. But what happens after we finish hearing that pastime? We may have some tears for some time, but then after we finish, we go back to our old ways of enjoying this world. Our ideas don't change. There are so many people who do, long sessions of Bhagavat presentations, and they can mesmerize the audience even with their very wonderful, skilled oratory expertise. But it may impress, but it may not inspire. It may invoke some devotional sentiments for some time, but after they go home, they go back to their old ways. But if philosophy is properly understood through thought, word, and deed, then even when the person goes home, there is a transformation of heart. This is why Shukdev Goswami and even Srila Prabhupada, they presented the first 9 cantos, which talk about Krishna's greatness. And then the 10th canto talks about Krishna's sweetness. So sometimes the atheists, they give this argument, oh, well, we cannot see God, we cannot hear him, we cannot touch him, we cannot smell him, we cannot taste him. So since we cannot have a experiential realization through our sense perception, we don't believe in God. We don't believe in God. So if we don't have proper philosophical arguments on the basis of what Prabhupada has given, then we will not have anything to say to protect the Lord of our lives. Someone coming and saying that, hey, your child doesn't exist. He's dead. You're just imagining a child. It's a very big insult. So Krishna's like our child. Krishna's like our Mat Prananath. So someone coming, taking things from him, a human body from him, and claiming that he doesn't exist is a big insult, a slap on our affectionate, loving relationship with God. Therefore, Kama Krishnarpane Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. One can use one's anger when Krishna or his devotees are insulted. Ramachandra, Mother Sita was insulted, and therefore Hanuman, he burnt the whole city of Lanka, and that is devotion. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur could tear apart assemblies on the basis of truthful presentations, and that was an expression of humility, because humility means to walk on the path of truth. So people may say, I don't see God, and therefore I don't believe he exists. But if, let's say, 1,000 blind men come together and they write a paper and they proclaim that the sun doesn't exist, what value is there to that statement? That has no meaning, because it's not just one blind. There are 1,000 blinds, and might is not right, may not be right. So we are not able to see God, but that doesn't mean no one has seen God. Prabhupada would drill this argument. Prabhupada was so far ahead of his time. In the 60s and 70s, Prabhupada would slam these examples and pull down big arguments of philosophers and scientists. Prabhupada would say, you have not seen God. Why do you see no one has seen God? Why do you say that? Prabhupada would say, Atmavat manyate jagat. We think the world is like us. If I cannot fly, nobody can fly. If I cannot see God, nobody can see God. But Prabhupada would say, many in the past who are pure-hearted, they have seen God. And it's so beautiful. Prabhupada would say, you have a father, your father has a father, your father's father has a father, he has a father, he has a father, and then there is one father from who has a son, and from where there's origin of all this. That father, that origin, that source is called God, who's being glorified by Gajendra here. Prabhupada would say so many different things. At one room conversation I was hearing, Prabhupada said, when this was being asked, Prabhupada said, in different religions, at different places, at different times, in different cultural backgrounds, so many different varieties of external circumstances, there have been God-realized souls. And they've all developed the same qualities of humility, tolerance, compassion, forgiveness, being friendly to everyone, having equal vision, being selfless and devoted with gratitude. Prabhupada said, how is it possible? Is it a coincidence that people realize saints from different religions and different places at different times in different cultural backgrounds? They're all worshipping God. to the best of their ability, and they're all coming to the same point of meeting, to have similar qualities developed, similar ideals, similar goals, similar response to situations. Haridas Thakur being whipped, Jesus Christ being crucified, and same response. How could it be a coincidence that two personalities from different places and times and different cultural backgrounds are worshipping God, and they're developing a similar response to situations? They're having different similar qualities and similar ideas and vision and mission and goals in life, similar lifestyles of simple living and high thinking, very simple eating, not criticizing anyone, etc. Bhalo na khaibe aro bhalo na paribe, gramya katha na shunibe aro gramya katha na bolibe. The same principles that Mahaprabhu has given. So I just want to make a point here that the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, we all have a very big responsibility to study Prabhupada's books very nicely and understand the essence, to read all the letters, to hear all his classes, to hear all his morning walks, to study all his books, and to discuss with each other. And Prabhupada would have so many debates like that, fake debates with his disciples. And sometimes he would take Madhudvesha Prabhu explains when they were on the plane, I believe to Nairobi. Prabhupada took the role of a devotee, and he told Madhudvesha Prabhu to become a Mayavadi. And then Prabhupada broke him to pieces, and Madhudvesha Prabhu was thinking that, oh, well, that's easy because Prabhupada is a devotee and I am not a Mayavadi, I'm a devotee, so I am not able to play my role, and Prabhupada is not the best of his role. So he said, Prabhupada, but this is easy. So Prabhupada said, okay, why not make it tough then? I'll become the Mayavadi and you become the devotee. And Madhudvesha Prabhu said, yes, now this is good because I know all the arguments. And guess what? Prabhupada tore his Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy to pieces with his Mayavad conclusions. So this is how expert Prabhupada was. He could go from one end to another through philosophical depth and establish. So therefore, Prabhupada through all his books has established very conclusively, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadi Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna is the cause of everything. Is he from whom everything comes. And of course, when there is sufficient purification and awakening of consciousness, then we can enter the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. We can enter them. But without understanding that Krishna is the cause of everything, we will have doubts. Like sometimes people ask this question, how can Radha and Krishna meet in seclusion in a dark forest of Vrindavan? Well, when Krishna as Paramatma can sit with the Jivatma in seclusion in a dark kunj of our heart, why can't Krishna sit with Radharani in a dark kunj of Vrindavan? When the Jivatma and Paramatma can sit together in the darkness of one's consciousness together, and Krishna is always there personally with every Jiva, why can't he be with Radharani who belongs to him also? So in this way, when we understand philosophically, as Gajendra is calling out to Krishna and his energies, then we can be completely convinced. We find also how in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, so there are 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam, but the Chatushloki were the 4 seed verses. In that, the first verse also, in the first verse itself, Krishna explains to Brahma, he defines himself as how he is before every creation, he is during every creation, he is maintaining everything, he is through the destruction process, and even after destruction, Krishna is present. During our life, we see some houses are made and then there's demolition time, we pull them down. So before the building was built, we were there, and during the building is there, we are there, and after the building is pulled down, we are there. Similarly, Krishna is there beyond everything. Sometimes people are doubting even the presence of God, and some temporary glory, some temporary opulence that we may possess which belong to God, in the temporary bodies that we have, they are ready to take eternal credit for it. They want to do things in such a way that even after they are gone, they are remembered. But this is not correct. The ability to comprehend, the ability to reason, the ability to see, the ability to talk, the ability to understand, the ability to hear, everything comes from Krishna at every moment. Even our ability to take our soap in our hand and rub our hand and stand under the shower and clean ourselves and wipe ourselves, that ability is from Krishna. So at every moment to remember Krishna, who is empowering us at every moment, is the only duty of every jiva. Krishna is empowering us at every minute, even for things that are personal, and selfish. So why shouldn't we reciprocate every minute by remembering him for the empowerment? This is true devotion. This is true devotion. We have never seen anything come from nothing. There's nothing which has come from nothing. There's everything which has come from something, and that something is called God. Krishna is inside of everything. He's outside of everything. He's the resting place for everything. He's the source for everything. Yet he is separate. And Prabhupada explains this very beautifully. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate nattat samah cha adikas cha drishyate parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate swabhaviki jnana bala kriya cha. Prabhupada gives the example of the sun rays and the sun. Prabhupada says the sun rays goes through everything in the room. You see, we are able to see the book, we are able to see the laptop, we are able to see everything because the sun rays is going through these objects and they empower us to see. So the sun rays is holding everything and everything is in the sun rays. But the source of the sun rays, the sun is still separate in his own abode. So similarly, Krishna is in his own abode, but through his energy, just like the sun is empowering everything through his sun rays, Krishna, through his energies, the first point in this discussion, he is empowering everything, yet remaining separate. So these are the things we have to discuss and know about his energies. Prabhupada would explain how Krishna has material energy and Krishna has spiritual energy. The material energy is this world. Spiritual energy is that world. Material energy is also eternal because there is creation of this material world and destruction of this material world. Then there's creation of this material world, destruction of this material world. Which means the fact that the material world is going to be there is eternal. So this Maya Shakti is eternal. The manifestations in them may be temporary. Sometimes they're created, sometimes they're destroyed. But it is always there. It is eternal. And the spiritual energy, the spiritual world is eternal, and even the manifestations there are also eternal. This material energy is called Mahamaya or Durga Devi. She is the jailer of this world. Lord Shiva is the father, Mother Durga is the mother of this creation. Therefore, they are called Bhava and Bhavani. Lord Shiva is called Bhava. And Mother Parvati is called Bhavani. Why Bhava? Because this material world is called Bhava Sagara. Bhava means to become. Chiranjeevi Bhava, Saubhagyavati Bhava. Bhava means to become. So this world is the world of becoming something. You become born, you become a boy, then you become middle-aged, then you become old, then you become dead, then again there's becoming, so to speak. So the only thing that's constant in this world is change. So because Lord Shiva is the Lord of this world of change, he's called Bhava. And Mother Parvati, his consort, is called Bhavani. Durga is called Bhavani. So she is serving as his energy in this world. Srishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka chayeva yasya bhuvanani bibharti Durga ichhanurupam api yasya ta cheshthate sa govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. Prabhupada would quote this verse to say how Durga follows Krishna like chaya, like a shadow follows the person. So she is the material energy. While the spiritual energy is called Yoga Maya or Subhadra Devi. There is Durga Devi here and Subhadra Devi there. All the internal potencies, Yoga Maya. What are their purposes? Well, both of them are Maya Shakti, which means they put one in a state of forgetfulness. So in the material energy, this world, the forgetfulness the illusion is to make us forget Krishna. But in that world also it is to forget. But not forget Krishna, but forget that Krishna is God. Like in this world, material energy makes us forget Krishna's identity, makes us forget our connection with Krishna, and teaches us how to enjoy this body which has been given so that the consciousness of the soul can get uplifted, is getting misused by the soul to enjoy the body, and the consciousness falls down. I repeat again, the soul is in the body. Why? So that the consciousness of the soul can be uplifted by using the facilities of the body. The consciousness can become more purified. But when we are under the spell of illusion of this world, the material energy, the soul downgrades the consciousness. There's a fall down in the consciousness by keeping the facilities of the body as the highest source of enjoyment. So instead of using the facilities of the body for the upliftment of the consciousness, there is a downfall of consciousness because of enjoying the facilities of the body. This is called material energy. But in the spiritual energy, there is forgetfulness. There is so much love between the devotee and Krishna that there is illusion set to increase the love. If Mother Yashoda thinks that Krishna is God, then she will offer obeisances instead of offering him her embrace. So love is increased by putting her in a spell of illusion that he is just your child. Trayacha Upanishadbhicha Sankhya Yogaischa Satvataihi Upagiyamanam Mahatmyam Hari Samanyatatmajam Nanda Hakim Akarod Brahman Shreya Eva Mahodayam Yashodacha Mahabhaga Papau Yasya Sthanam Hari. Very beautifully the Bhagavatam describes that Mother Yashoda, she considers the conclusion of the scriptures to be her baby child. Like that. Illusion. That is an illusion. That is the spiritual energy, Yoga Maya. And material energy is called Mahamaya. Those pure devotees who take shelter of this Yoga Maya potency, they are put in spiritual illusion. They will never believe that Krishna is God. Instead, they will always love him from the bottom of their heart. But those who are under material spell, they will not even believe his identity or his presence. And those under that illusion, they are the scientists who are giving us the structure of this cosmic creation, under the spell of illusion. But Shukdev Goswami, who's under spiritual illusion, spiritual energy, Yoga Maya potency, he is giving us the reality of this creation through the Bhagavatam. So therefore, sometimes people may feel that the cosmic model of the Vedic pages of the Bhagavatam, they don't match with that of the scientific world. Well, that means they are wrong and we are right. Not we, Shukdev Goswami is right. And because we are following the message which is right, we can very humbly say that this is right. In Vrindavan also we see, between Nandagram and Barsana, there is a very beautiful place called Saketwan. Sanketwan is basically a very thick forest. It used to be filled with such thick trees that they form canopies. And the sun couldn't even penetrate through these trees and touch the ground with his rays. So the place is filled with thick trees and groves, very dark, quiet, cool, peaceful place for Radha and Krishna to meet. And it's so confidential, such confidential place that forget about Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya or Vatsalya. Krishna's friends cannot enter there. Mother Yashoda Nanda Baba cannot enter. Even many of the gopis cannot enter that place. It is a very, very confidential place between Nandagram and Barsana. It's called Sanketwan. So it's a meeting place. Sanket means to give signs, to give different positive signs of meeting. So when Radha and Krishna want to meet each other, they will give different signs and symbols. And that is the place, Sanket. So that the Adhishthatri Devi, the most powerful personality there is Sanket Devi. When you go to that place, there's a deity of Durga Devi. She has 8 arms. She's Yoga Maya. She's in the form of Durga Devi. So that is the same Durga who is the jailer in this world, who makes us forget Krishna. But when you take shelter of her as the Yoga Maya potency, then she is bringing Radha and Krishna together. She brings the jivas together by making them forget that Krishna is God. So instead of offering obeisances, they will offer Krishna embrace and very loving, affectionate services. So the pastimes have been described, and Dinabandhu Prabhu was once mentioning that this Sanket Devi, Durga Devi, makes many arrangements. Like sometimes the moon in the sky, she would create illusion in such a way that the moon would have eyes and would smile, and with the eyes the moon would point in a certain direction. So that means Radha and Krishna have to leave their homes looking at the moon and meet at that specific point. Or sometimes Sanket Devi would create 2 or 3 rainbows in the sky to give signals to Radha and Krishna. So that same energy which is separating us from Krishna and putting us in illusion of forgetfulness of Krishna, when we want to enjoy this world and become Krishna ourselves, want to enjoy and be the proprietor of everything, that same personality can give Sanket and bring us close to Krishna when we take sincere steps towards Krishna. So in this way, this is the energy. Prabhupada explains this is the same Yogamaya, Mahamaya, same energy. Just like the same electricity can sometimes make hot things cold in the refrigerator and can make cold things hot in a microwave oven, can make the hot air cold through the air conditioner or cold air hot through a heater. Same electricity. Similarly, the same energy of Krishna can make, it is called aghatana ghatana pratiyasi shakti. It can make possibility into an impossibility, and impossibility into a possibility. So this energy of the Lord is very, very powerful. And all these energies originate from Srimati Radharani. Can you imagine that? All these energies, all these potencies, they originate from Srimati Radharani. And this is the meaning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's verse, Namnam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. O Krishna, all your energies, Nija Sarva Shakti, they're all present in Harinam Prabhu, which means the potency to overcome Maya Devi is also present in Harinam Prabhu. Radharani is present in Harinam Prabhu. Lalita, Vishakha, Induleka, Ranga Devi, Sudevi, Chitra, Champaklata, Tungavidya, all of these Shaktis, they're all present in Harinam Prabhu. So by taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu, one can cross over Maya Shakti. Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. This is the reason we find very, very beautifully. Brahmaji, he got attracted to material energy, Maya Shakti. But that same Brahmaji, when he chanted the holy name, 3 lakh names every day, and became Haridas Thakur, he was not attracted by Maya. In fact, he gave Diksha to Maya Devi. We get attracted to one small, flickering, insignificant allurement of Maya Devi, and we are ready to lose our whole life. Think about it. Think about people who commit very dangerous, let's say, very very bad and very criminal activities, violence against women. Think about them. They are ready to even die. They are ready to be shot. They are ready to be hanged and life imprisonment just to fulfill a few seconds of pleasure to one of the forms of the material energy. And here is Haridas Thakur at the age of 25 in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the night, no one to see him, no one to have a look, and the whole Maya Shakti, not one temporary manifestation, but the whole Maya Shakti is coming in front of him. And on the power of Harinam Prabhu, he is not just tolerating her temptation, he's not even affected by her temptation. In fact, he's standing there, he's sitting and chanting for 3 nights only to give her Diksha and uplift her. What level of consciousness is this? So therefore, by chanting Harinam, one can, even if one is at the present moment under Mahamaya potency, one can chant the holy name and immediately get transferred to the realm of Yogamaya. This is the meaning of saying Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha Bhajati Ananya Manaso. If someone does bhajan of Harinam Prabhu, Ananya Manaso, with one pointed intelligence, then Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. One is taking shelter of the internal potency. Here Gajendra, before the catch of the crocodile, was under the influence of Mahamaya. But when the crocodile caught, immediately there was a switch, and under the influence of Yoga Maya Shakti, now completely forgetting everything else, in total calling out of the Supreme Lord's energy and potency, he is calling out to Krishna. He is immediately transferred into the Daivim Prakriti Ashrita, and therefore he is a Mahatma. Mahatmanastu Mam Partha. So in this way we can understand point number 1, how Krishna's energies have been discussed, and how Gajendra is saying that through your energies you are actually creating the whole thing. This is the importance of why Prabhupada established Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra and Sudarshan in our temples, because they are called Chaturdha Murti. Chaturdha, 4 personalities together: Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra and Sudarshan. Why? Because they are the 4 steps taking a conditioned soul like us towards the lotus feet of Krishna. How? First and foremost, one must develop a desire of sincerity. That is Sudarshana. One must have desire that, oh, I wish I get on the positive path. Sudarshana. Darshana means desire to see, and Su means very auspicious. May I have the auspicious vision to see the brighter side, the planet beyond the sky. I want to know the reality. That is the first step. When that happens, the second person in line is Baladev, that is Guru Tattva. Guru appears when we are ready, says Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Gaur Govinda Maharaj says Guru appears when the disciple is ready. Krishna sends the Guru to the disciple. Sometimes we think, oh, how can I select the spiritual master? Gaur Govinda Maharaj says you cannot select the spiritual master. The spiritual master selects you, which means when we are sincere in our heart, Krishna will guide us and the spiritual master will accept. But a sleeping person cannot see the person who's awake. But the person who's awake can see the person who's sleeping. So Guru can see the disciple like that. So first and foremost, our desire to have Sudarshan. Till now, I have made many mistakes. Now I want to have the vision to see the whole world in terms of bhakti. Second, Baladev Prabhu. That is, we have Guru appearing in our life. And by the instructions of Guru, what happens? Third, Subhadra. The curtain of Maya is removed. We are transferred from the feet of Durga Devi to the feet of Subhadra Devi, the internal potency. The curtain of Maya is dropped and we are under the shelter of the internal potency. And when that happens, fourth stage, the Lord of the universe, Jagannath, with his big eyes, is eager to see the Jiva. So beautiful. This is the journey from going from the external energy to the feet of the internal energy. Therefore, they are called as the Chaturdha Murti. They are non-different from, see, the Lord always appears in Chaturdha Murti, whether it is Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna, or whether it is Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, or whether it is Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Sudarshan. So there is significance there. So this is the first point of our discussion as far as the energy of the Lord is concerned. And we will take this ahead now with respect to Krishna's position and also how they mutually interact, and then Gajendra's mood. We will now intertwine all of these moods in the next few minutes or so before we wrap up. Some may think that, oh, well, today what happened? Amarendra is ranting and raving too much about philosophy. Well, because I was reading how Prabhupada mentions this point, that religion without philosophy is actually sentimental fanaticism. Sometimes we may have some emotional tears, but we must have strong philosophical backing. But on the other hand, Prabhupada says just dry philosophy without proper spiritual practice is mental speculation. So we can go on arguing without any loving, heart-wrenching service, and we'll not reach anywhere. So, avajananti mam muhda manushim tanum ashritam, Krishna explains. So when I was reading this section of Prabhupada's purport, and I came across this quotation of religion without philosophy, etc. So I was thinking maybe today's discussion we can share, because in our family of Krishna conscious devotees, bodhayanta parasparam, whatever we read, whatever we hear, whatever is the calling of the heart, that is what we share with the devotees that day. Prabhupada also explains how Krishna is so special that he may appear to be with Radharani. He may appear to be with the Braja Gopis. He may appear to be in Goloka Vrindavan. But at the same time, he is Golokam eva nivasati akhilatma bhuto, according to the Brahma Samhita. He is present everywhere as Bhagavan. His energies are sarva vyapta. He is present everywhere. Etad yonini bhutani, Krishna explains. Aham kristasya jagataha. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains this point. So therefore, it is a matter of awe and reverence to start with. Even in the ISKCON temples, Prabhupada said Radha and Krishna should be worshipped with awe and reverence like Lakshmi Narayan. So when we have awe and reverence to start with, then we can purify our heart with that mood. Then we get liberated, and then we will get love of Godhead someday. Where, when we come on the platform of love of Godhead, we can forget all the awe and reverence. So we start with awe and reverence to forget it one day. Like we get into a college, we get into a university to leave that university and graduate one day. Similarly, we get into the position of awe and reverence to purify our heart, to get liberated of material existence, and then to get love of Godhead, where after love of Godhead, we forget all the awe and reverence towards Krishna, and we march on the path, the dictation of the heart. Just like we see when we have to learn harmonium or we have to learn a keyboard, we initially start with sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. We know the different keys, and then you may practice sa sa re ga ga ma re ga ga ma pa ga ga ma pa dha ma pa dha ni pa dha ni sa ni pa ni pa ma ga ga ma ga ga re sa. You practice all of that on the harmonium. But the purpose of the harmonium is not to play Sasarere Gaga Mama. That's not the purpose. The reason we are learning all this is so that one day we can play a song. And when we play the song, we play it with such ease that we forget the Saregamapa. So the perfection of learning Saregamapa on the harmonium is so that one day using that, we learn to play songs. And while playing songs, we are so absorbed that we forget the Saregamapa. The same principle with Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Same principle with awe and reverence and spontaneous love. So initially, we learn the philosophy. We have the Sambandha Gyan, very, very fixed Vishesh Sambandha Gyan, which is like the keys on the harmonium of our bhakti. And we practice it so that one day we play the song of love to such an extent that while playing the song of love to offer our heart, we forget the Saregamapa of awe and reverence. So this is why we have to discuss this. But however, now we can appreciate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that awe and reverence to purify our heart, to get liberated, to get love of God. This is the order. But what did Mahaprabhu come and do? He gave love of God at first, which will liberate us and purify our heart. And then he shows the awe and reverence in the Mahaprakash Leela, the pastime of great revelation. So Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga went the other way, which is impossible. That is why he is Mahavadanyaya. In fact, we celebrated Sripad Ramanujacharya's appearance. So it's very introspective to see how the different acharyas, they came and offered different philosophies. Shankaracharya gave the Shuddha Advaita philosophy, and our Madhvacharya also gave the Dvaitavad. Ramanujacharya gave the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, and they all gave different intricacies and subtle differences in their path. But ultimately, from a Gaudiya perspective, they were all preparing the path for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear and reconcile all of this. How we as Jivas, we are simultaneously one with Krishna in quality, but we are different in quantity. We are Anu Atma. We are very, very small. One virus can shut us down. And Krishna is Vibhu Atma. Even when millions and millions of Brahma appear and disappear, Krishna is still there smiling, playing his flute beyond this darkness of this creation. So to that Krishna, to that Supreme Lord Mahavishnu, Gajendra is calling out. He's not looking for temporary solutions to solve his problem. He is using the situation to his best advantage. He's taking a crocodile which is holding his feet. He's using this situation to call out to Vishnu to ask for liberation from the repeated cycle of birth and death. So that's a very, very intelligent thing to do. Very intelligent thing to do. So in this way, we can understand how the Supreme Lord, through his energies, he makes everything everything possible. But at the same time, we have to understand in the fifth verse, you see, Canto 8, Chapter 3, Text 5, the same Kalena Panchatvam Iteshu Krishnasho Lokeshu Paleshu Cha Sarva Hetushu Tamas Tadasi Gahanam Gabhiram Yastasya Pare Bhi Virajate Vibhuhu. The Supreme Lord has been called as Vibhuhu. What does Vibhuhu mean? That relates straight to our first verse of Ishopanishad. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. What does that mean? There Prabhupada translates that Krishna is perfect and complete. Now someone may think, what are these two adjectives? Because the whole translation, if you see in the Ishopanishad, it's complete, whole and perfect. With these three words, Prabhupada writes the whole translation and purport. So sometimes it can get confusing. But here, tying it to the adjective, the word Vibhu that has been used for Krishna as someone who is inconceivably great and large, we can tie up that discussion here from the Bhakti Shastri Ishopanishad, verse 1, to say that Krishna is called as perfect and complete. So what is perfect? Perfect means every plan of Krishna is perfect. Every plan. So within a plan, he is perfect. But complete also means he is also aware of all other side plans. It doesn't give much solace just to know that he is perfect in one plan. Because if he's not complete, if he's not aware of other plans for other jivas, then being perfect in one plan doesn't give a lot of meaning and doesn't give a lot of solace. But if you understand that he's perfect in every planning, and he's aware and complete of all the plans, and the fact that nothing anywhere belongs outside his control, from smallest atoms to the largest universes, everything is under his supervision and his knowledge. Everything, everyone, everywhere, at all times is under his jurisdiction. Oh, that gives a lot of peace. Because what that means is Krishna's will is infallible, which means he's always in control. 3 points. 3 points always to remember. Krishna is always in control. Every situation he's always in control. Second, he never makes mistakes, which means always in control means Krishna can never tell us that, oh, look, I tried my bit, but this is all that I can. There's nothing more than this that I can do. Sometimes jivas in this world say, I tried my bit. What else can I do? It went out of control. Krishna can never say that. He's always in full control of everything. But at the same time, point number 2, Krishna can never say that I'm in control of what to do. I don't know what I was thinking. I made a mistake. It doesn't work like that. So point number 1, he's always in control of everything. Point number 2, he never makes mistakes. And point number 3 is the most interesting and the most affectionate point. He is our best friend, which means from the first 2 points we can understand Krishna thinks with his head. But with the third point, we are completely convinced, no, he thinks with his heart. So he's always in control, he never makes mistakes, and he loves us like no one else. So this is the meaning of Vibhu. He is complete in everything. In the Bible, it is said, be perfect as your Father in heaven. What does that mean? Our Father in heaven, or Krishna in Golok, is perfect and complete in all ways. We can become perfect too, but we cannot become complete. This is the point. Vibhu and Anu. Krishna is Vibhu. He is perfect and complete. But we can become perfect by following his instructions, but we cannot become complete. We are limited. Just like if you throw some tap water into the Yamuna. Now what happens is that tap water, when it came out of the tap, it was insignificant. But when it flows into the Yamuna, it's as good as Yamuna now. There's no difference. Similarly, we are like tap water. But when we flow with the instructions of Krishna, which are as pure as Yamuna, then we can inherit his qualities and we also become perfect. But we cannot become complete. So this is the difference between Krishna and us. So this was the second point to be discussed. First point was the expansions of his energies that Gajendra talks about. Second point about Krishna's position and his relation to us and the solace that we can get by understanding him. And third, and the most important point of our discussion, the mood of Gajendra. How Gajendra is using this situation to take shelter of Krishna. In the first verse, he's saying, Avatu mam, please protect me. And in the second verse, Yastasya pare bhivirajate vibhu, kalena panchatvam iteshu krishnasho lokeshu paleshu ch sarva hetushu tamas tadasi gahanam gabhiram yastasya pare bhivirajate vibhu. My Lord, I take shelter of your lotus feet. So this is the third and the concluding point for our discussion for the time that we have left. Now, talking about Gajendra, I want to parallel Gajendra's mood or Gajendra's situation to the situation of Devaki and Vasudeva in the prison house. Just think about it. Just let's talk about Devaki and Vasudeva for some time, and then we will draw parallels to Gajendra's situation. Here is Devaki and Vasudeva, who are having their rights stolen. They have their freedom stolen. They have their children murdered by Kamsa. And Kamsa goes to perform all kinds of atrocities, to torture them. And this doesn't shake the mood of Devaki and Vasudeva even a bit. After the first child is killed, the second child is killed, the third child is killed, Devaki and Vasudeva don't lose hope. They don't lose their devotional spirit at the feet of God. Gajendra is not losing hope and losing faith in the shelter of Sri Krishna. Just because the crocodile is pulling down, that doesn't mean he's going to lose faith in Krishna's ability. Gajendra may have lost faith and trust in his own ability or the ability of his family to protect him. Just like Devaki and Vasudev have lost all faith in their own ability and their family's ability to release them from the crocodile bite of Kamsa's torture. But still we find the parallel between Devaki, Vasudev and Gajendra, that the more Kamsa is pulling them into the jail, more crocodile is pulling Gajendra into the water, more is their helpless calling and dependence on the Supreme Lord's protection. We find the same principle in Navadvip also. Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they get one child after another and they all die one after another. 6 children born and then they die. And repeatedly Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they appeal to Narayana. Their bhakti goes on repeatedly. Their bhajan in fact increases with every child who departs. They could have thought, well, I am serving Narayana, we are serving Narayana, and our desires are getting frustrated. It is one thing to not have your desires fulfilled, but it's another thing to have your desire fulfilled, have a child and then get it crushed. The child is dying. So 6 kids are dying one after another. How many would continue their devotion if they were in the position of Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata? We worship Narayana and one after another 6 children are killed. Not killed, but they die. In case of Devaki and Vasudev, they are killed. But in case of Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they die. And look at other devotees, in fact, other personalities in Navadvip. People around, they're not worshipping Narayana and they're having healthy kids. So they could have thought, well, we are worshipping Narayana, what are we gaining? We are losing 6 children one after another. And people around us, they're worshipping demigods and tantric lords, and they're having materialistic, gross, mundane desires and atheistic desires. We don't even go with the flow, We can just go with the flow and gain the same thing and have healthy, beautiful kids. They didn't have any company, so to speak. Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata just had probably Srivas Thakur and Advaita Acharya. And later on Mukunda, etc. with time. But initially just very few. Navadvip was not a place of devotion. It was a place filled with mixed ideas. So they were not going with the flow, so to speak. So they could have thought that, we are worshipping Narayana and what are we gaining? Kolavecha Sridhar could have thought, I am worshipping Vishnu and what am I gaining? I am having nothing. In fact, I am crying out the names of the Lord and people are throwing in some grains and some rotis through my window. They are thinking that I am crying at night the names of Narayana because I am crying out of hunger of the belly. So they are throwing in food. You just eat this and you keep quiet. Don't disturb our sleep. But Kolavecha Sridhar's calling didn't stop. Shachi Mata, Jagannath Mishra's calling and their dependence on Narayana went higher and higher with every child dying. And then when they had their 7th child, Vishwarup, when he appeared, Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata's devotion to Narayana went greater with time. They were giving in charity and they started worshipping and calling out the names of Narayana even higher. And because they didn't bow down to temptations, they didn't bow down to their desires, they were selflessly calling out. That is why finally they were gifted with the most beautiful, wonderful golden complexion, Chachinandan Gaurahari. After which their bhajan of Narayana went further higher. So whether it was atrocities, whether it was the frustration of desire or fulfillment of desire, they were worshipping selflessly. They were calling out to Vishnu selflessly. They were not selfish in any way. Devaki and Vasudev, same principle. They were calling out selflessly. But on the other hand, look at Kamsa's mentality. This is the parallel that we can understand. Kamsa, he is torturing Devaki and Vasudev. And at the end of this torture, he's seeing that by all this torture, he finally sees the form of Durga, his Ishtadevi. He is the worshipper of Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. In fact, in Mathura, there is the Rang Bhumi, which was the wrestling arena where Chanur and Mushtik, the wrestling took place, and the gate where Kuvalayapid, the mad elephant, was destroyed. So there in Mathura is a very beautiful, famous Shivalinga called as Pipaleshwar Mahadev. And Pipaleshwar Mahadev has been worshipped by Kamsa. Why? To kill Krishna. Kamsa Mahadev, Lord Shiva, to kill Krishna. And that same Krishna's parents are being tortured. And Durga, the wife of Lord Shiva, is appearing and chastising Kamsa. You are doomed. You're such a rascal. You're worshipping me. But then you don't understand. I am the child of Devaki and Vasudev. So just imagine. Previously we mentioned how when someone takes shelter of the internal energy, all the potencies invested in Harinam, like Haridas Thakur does, then even Maya Devi appears as a disciple. But here, if you have the inner mood of Devaki and Vasudev, Maya Devi will not appear as disciple, but she's appearing as a baby. The internal associates of the Lord become parents for Maya Devi. Can you imagine? It's one thing to not be in Maya, but it's another thing to be so powerful that Maya Devi takes shelter of your womb and appears in this world as Durga. So here Kamsa realizes and he admits his mistake. He becomes humble. He begs for forgiveness. He speaks philosophy. He releases Devaki and Vasudev. He serves them, assists them. He acts very pious for now because he's completely crushed seeing how the person whom he was worshipping to get potency to kill Krishna is actually the child appearing from the parents whom he's been torturing in the prison, fearing Krishna. So look at Kamsa. He is completely humbled. He becomes very pious, but then again with time, the demoniac mentality comes up. The devotee is such that whether favorable or unfavorable, he continues to worship. But Kamsa is not like that. He studies the Vedas, he becomes very, very strong. Kamsa had the power of 10,000 elephants. He did not get that by some gym or some workout or some jogging. He got that by being very strong and he got that by doing tapasya and by studying the Vedas, by mystic potencies. And then he saw his Ishtadev and Devi, Durga, by torturing Devaki and Vasudev. He was shocked. The person whom I am torturing are so great that my goddess is appearing from them. Starts begging forgiveness. This is the other side of the story. When everything is favorable, that is when I am good. I don't want anyone. I absolutely don't need anyone. But when everything goes bad, I become humble. This is the materialistic mentality. They give up when their desires are not fulfilled. They give up when their desires are frustrated. They give up when there is atrocities. They give up when there is no need. They go to God only when there is need. They treat God like a patient treats a doctor. You absolutely go to a doctor only when you really need it. Why do you want to pay unless you are desperately needed? So there are materialistic, Kamsa-like mentality who go to Narayana. And when their desires are fulfilled, they don't need him. Haribo. But when the desires are not fulfilled, they will go. But personalities like Devaki and Vasudeva and Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they are pure devotees under Yoga Maya Shakti, to which Mahamaya is born as a child. Or like Haridas Thakur giving Diksha to Mahamaya. This is the potency of someone who's chanting Harinam, who's under the influence of the internal potency. And Gajendra is one such devotee. Kamsa here represents, is taking the position of the crocodile. The jail here is the water pond. And Devaki and Vasudev's mood of calling out is exemplified by Gajendra. The more the struggle, more the darkness, more the prison house like pulling of the crocodile into the water of helplessness, Gajendra is calling out like Devaki and Vasudeva. The more he's seeing that crocodile is pulling him in, the more heartfelt and heart-wrenching his call. And just like Krishna appears to Devaki and Vasudeva in the middle of the night, Krishna appeared in the prison house, which means when one understands, I'm completely bound up. I have no place to go. And at the same time, in the middle of the night, meaning I have no light, no ray of any other hope apart from you. And then there is iron shackles in the hand and the feet, meaning I am completely bound up by my material desires and past bad habits. Amidst this, Devaki and Vasudeva cry and Krishna appears to them. Similarly, Gajendra is calling out. The jail here is like, I cannot leave this place. I am bound up. I cannot leave the pond. And the shackles are the jaws of the crocodile. The darkness is, I have no other hope. My family is at the banks of the pond. They cannot help me. They are not able to enter. I'm not able to exit. No one but you, my Lord. Please come. And Krishna is appearing to Gajendra because of this mood of selfless surrender. So in this way, today we discussed how the energies of the Supreme Lord are beautifully manifest. Second, we discussed how Krishna, the cause of everything, the maintainer of everything, the destroyer of everything, is distinct, and his smiling, beautiful face, his loving, affectionate glance is nourishing all the jivas. And third, we also discussed how devotees, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. We serve Krishna not for something that we need. We don't give up the service when we get what we want, or we don't go to him to get what we want. Whether we get it, we don't get it, we still continue with gratitude. This is devotion, selflessly. Krishna, I belong to you. It is my duty to call out your names. And we can cross material nature by taking shelter of Harinam. And why Harinam? Because Nija Sarva Shakti. In the Shikshashtakam, Mahaprabhu is saying all potencies are there in Harinam Prabhu. So when we take shelter of Harinam Prabhu, Harinam is the Antaranga Shakti, Swarup. So we take shelter of Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, take shelter of my internal energy. So we take shelter of Harinam Prabhu, and then we can cross the external energy. And like Devaki and Vasudev, Maya becomes so subordinate to a pure devotee. She can even humbly come as a child and sometimes even scare away our problems. She is ready to forget that Kamsa is her devotee, and she is ready to take sides with Devaki and Vasudev because they are selfless devotees. Haridas Thakur is ready to initiate Maya Devi. So that is the power of Krishna's devotees. So by taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu through the tongue and the desperate calling in the heart, like Devaki Vasudev, like Shachi Mata Jagannath Mishra, like Gajendra in this case, we can overcome the dense darkness of all of our problems. I really want to thank all the devotees for being attentively present through this long discussion. I want to thank each one of you for spending your invaluable time for the last 92 minutes to participate in this discussion. I want to thank Srila Prabhupada for binding us together during such times of difficulty through the threads of philosophical relishment. Prabhupada has given us the pastimes to drown in and the philosophy to stand up for. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So tomorrow also, it'll be same time. We will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the same platform. See you all tomorrow. We'll continue from where we left off today. Hare Krishna.